Shangri-La Frontier is one of the most popular new anime out right now. And don't just take my word for it, check this out.
What the hell is this? It's more popular than Frieren and Spy X Family?
As someone always looking to watch new good anime, and seeing this, high ratings, and one hell of a cool poster, I figured I'd give this show a shot. And in this video, I'm here to tell you that so far, I'm not impressed. Now, in case you're unaware, this show centers around Sunraku, a guy who plays trash and glitchy games before being convinced to join the hottest new game in town, Shangri-La Frontier. By all accounts, supposed to be god tier. This is actually a decent premise to start, because the fact that Sunraku only plays trash and glitchy games sets us up with two major things right from the get-go. One is that by doing so, he's going to be an incredible gamer in a very believable way. And two, I think we all know what it's like to play a garbage or incomplete game and get frustrated with it, so it kind of makes him relatable in the sense that he's been exposed to the same things that we have. Upon entry into the game, we actually see a really cool, deep world that looks like it would be a legitimately fun game to play. And Sunraku takes the interesting route from his experience with the trash games. He decides he's just never going to take a hit. So he puts all of the available skill points he gets to start into luck and agility, assuming that he'll always be able to strike first and never take a hit, and that's how he's going to win all of his fights. And this is exactly how his first few fights go. He wins by simply avoiding taking any damage and learning how to master hitting critical hits until he wins. However, it doesn't take very long for this strategy to kind of backfire, as he randomly bumps into Lycagon, which is a unique and legendary monster in the game. And having just picked up the game within a few days, he really has no chance of beating this monster. He actually loses, which was a nice surprise, and gets cursed. And this is kind of where the show starts to get repetitive and lose some of its value for me. Because after receiving his curse from the unique monster Lycagon, Sunraku then bumps into the unique NPC Emil, and that leads to a unique scenario and a unique land, Rabbituza. And then the next arc after that, he meets up with one of his friends from the trash games, and they have a lead on a unique monster, where they learn the backstory of that monster from a unique NPC. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Those are technically the first 3 arcs in the show, and it's essentially just a cycle of unique monster, unique NPC, unique land. And in a real video game, that would be a lot of fun to continuously encounter unique scenarios. But 1, this isn't a video game that we're actually playing. We're watching this guy play. And 2, we're not immersed enough into the world yet to care what's unique and what isn't, because we haven't laid the groundwork for what is standard in Shangri-La Frontier. So saying something unique without actually showing what's normal loses all its impact. And this is one of my issues with the show. There's very little impact in anything that happens. On a week-to-week basis, you can easily forget what happened the week before, because there's no clear direction to give us anything to latch on to, which really means it comes down to a character playing a video game. And while that can work to an extent, such as in the Weathermon arc, where things are actually interesting and there is some emotional weight to it, most of the time it just feels like filler, or like you're watching someone else grind through a game, which isn't typically super fun. And again, that can work sometimes, but it comes down to execution. One of the things that typically makes games or shows that don't necessarily have stakes or like a clear plot interesting is when you have really fun character dynamics. And unfortunately, this show doesn't really have that either. While the way Sunraku plays video games is interesting, and the fact that he's very good at them can be interesting, at least to this point in the show, there isn't anything more to the character other than he's good at video games. He has no distinct personality traits that stand out whatsoever. And the surrounding cast doesn't necessarily stand out either. Now, that's not to say that no one is any good as a character or there aren't enjoyable characters. Emil, who is a unique NPC that is kind of your standard adorable creature to add, levity, is fun to watch because she's really expressive and adds a different dynamic to the show. But there aren't that many characters like that. We get signs of it with Emil's dad, Don Visash, who is like a giant rabbit boss / legendary blacksmith, who's interesting when he's on screen, which isn't very often. Or we get to see some of Sunraku's friends from other games, like Pencilgon, who is a celebrity who's also really interested in trash games, I guess. Doesn't have a whole lot going for the character. Or Katsuo, a dude who has a female avatar who seems to only be included in the show to give it the element of like a tsundere. And to be honest, it actually kind of works. Katsuo is pretty funny, and the interactions with Sunraku pick up. So that actually works a little bit, but they don't pop up for 10-ish episodes. The only other character who's gotten really any significant amount of time in the show so far that I can remember, and I don't even remember the character's name, is a girl who stalks Sunraku in school because she has a crush on him and has been trying to find him inside the game so that they can play together, and eventually does, but doesn't admit who they are. And that actually creates a relatively interesting dynamic, but it's been such a background thing so far that it hasn't been explored. And I get it, because storytelling is about setting things up and letting them pay off later, and that's obviously going to be something that pays off later. I'm only 15-ish episodes into this show, but that is long enough to have an entire season. And so far, we have almost no tension and really no hook that makes you go, oh, I need to watch this show week to week. And that's fine to an extent. Not every show hits their stride right away. But with its popularity and its ratings, I figured I'd be getting more than we've gotten so far. When you can truly sum up the arc so far as encounter unique monster, encounter unique NPC, which leads to unique scenario and unique land, and friend gets lead on unique monster, then learn backstory from unique NPC, it's just hard to stay interested. The show does have good animation, not great, but good. And the music is pretty solid. I really enjoy the intro theme. But the thing it does best, honestly, is it sets up what would be a really fun game to actually play in real life. The problem is, we're just watching a character that we don't have any emotional ties to play it. And when it comes down to that, I think I would much rather just play a video game myself. So those are my thoughts on Shangri-La Frontier. Am I on the money? Am I wrong? Have I not given it enough time yet? I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.